I'm just going to say it. A lot of nonprofits are struggling with funding, not because the economy is bad or there's not enough grants out there, but because they're doing it wrong. In my time, I've noticed that there are 3 major mistakes that a lot of nonprofits make, and it's killing your funding and it's hurting you long term. So today I want to talk about 3 big mistakes that you make when it comes to grant funding and how you can fix them. So let's get into this. Hey guys, my name is Ken McQuiller with the Nonprofit Missionary Podcast. We are back, season 4, hooray. Just as a spoiler for Confessions of a Missionary later, we do have our twins. That's kind of been the biggest reason for this long hiatus between what will now be season 2 or season 3 and season 4. But I want to get into some stuff today because let's get real. I understand how important it is for nonprofits to be funded, how important it is for nonprofits to have enough to do what they do. It's really hard when you have part-time employees that are doing full-time work and then have to do side hustles or second jobs just to get ends meet. And ideally, if they could work with you full-time, they would. So let's look at 3 big mistakes that your nonprofit's probably making that's hurting your funding. Mistake number 1, your governance is a mess. Yes, I know that sounds very harsh, but let me get into it. If you don't know what governance is talking about your board of directors. Also, partially your lead staff, so your executive director or any other senior directors that you might have. A lot of people don't have the right people on their board. When you're applying for a grant, 99% of the time they're going to ask something about your board of directors. Typically they'll just ask name affiliations. And sometimes, yes, I understand that they could be asking for like connections and things like that. But I think most of the time it's a good look in how your organization is being run. They're looking to see if you're doing things the right way. Is your board just full of your friends and family? If you are the executive director of your nonprofit, are you also the board chair? Because that's a huge major red flag. Are there conflicts of interest? So do you have family members on your board? Do you have a lot of related people? Do you have married couples on your board? Do you have people that work together and there's the supervisor, employer, employee type of dynamic? If any of those things are true, your governance is a mess and it's hurting your funding. Foundations see board of directors as an insight on how the organization is being run. So if you have a lot of conflicts of interest around, if the board chair is also the executive director, it just looks really bad. Even if your organization is run well and there are no issues and there's no actual conflict of interest happening, it'll be a red flag. So, and I'll just give a quick example here. So let's say the board chair is also the executive director. The executive director technically sets the salary, or their salary is set by the board of directors. Now, most of the time, if we're talking the small faith-based nonprofits like we are, that's why we're here. We exist to help faith-based nonprofits get their funding, get established, and also get out there to do what they're doing. If you, let's say your salary it can be set at whatever, but you don't have any money. So you're working either with a small stipend or you're working as a volunteer. Let's say you get $1 million check in the mail and it's a legit check from whoever you want to put in there, a very philanthropic person. And just like that, you have enough for a salary. Well, who sets the salary? The board of directors. So if you are the board chair, you're setting your own salary. What if you decide to set it for $900,000? That's something that you would have the legal right to do. And yet that's where the issue lies. And if a lot of major decisions are being made, it's important to have a board of directors that doesn't have significant conflicts of interest, because what ends up happening is 1 or 2 people are controlling the board and then everyone else just kind of has to say yes to that. So that's why it's important to have a solid board of directors. So if your governance is a mess, I'm not asking you to quit the board today, but have a discussion. Be willing to say, how are we going to make this look better in the next year? Start looking at board members now. And I know sometimes it's really, really hard to get board members. For our nonprofit here, we had 2 board members ready to be added. One forgot about it and realized that was a sign that they probably shouldn't do it. And another attended 1 meeting and then resigned. So it's really hard to get board members. What I want to encourage you to do is look at the people that are already engaged in your organization. I feel like sometimes when it comes to board of directors, we always think, who is my richest donor? Which that's a great place to start. But you know what can be also a very sustainable board of director? That person that comes to volunteer at everything and anything that you do. That community member that's always an advocate for your organization. That former client that has gone on to do great things. Those are all great examples of board members. Make sure your board is also diverse, because that can also be another big red flag. If your board of directors looks like a country club from the 1950s and you're serving a primarily black population, that's not going to look good. There's going to be people that see that and say, well, your board is 100% white and you are serving 100% black people. It just doesn't look good. Have diversity, not just ethnically, because I think that's important, but also age-wise. It's good to have older people on there, younger people on there, so that you have a variety of perspectives. Have people from different backgrounds and different expertise come in, because that really helps not only give you the best ideas, but it also gives you the biggest reach, because you're accessing your board members' network. If you're a pastor and you started a faith-based nonprofit and your board of directors is other pastors within your denomination, your network is going to be slightly more limited. So just keep that in mind. The best way to fix it is start having those conversations. At your next board meeting, if you are the executive director and the board chair, say that that's not a good practice and tell your board, we got to figure out how to fix it. Not today, but within a pretty quick time frame, because it's hurting our long-term growth and it's hurting our potential of getting funding. So fix that governance. It'll help a lot of different things. Number 2, your fundraising probably also sounds very selfish, and it's turning people off. I know, because I've seen it. There are people that sound very desperate and self-centered when it comes to fundraising. You have to stop doing that. It's just hurting you. It's just making things worse. Saying that you need money because we're struggling is not a strategy, it's just a pity party. And it's not going to help people want to get engaged with your nonprofit, especially when it comes to grant writing. I think this ties with fundraising in general, but I want to focus a little bit on grant writing for a second. If when you're writing your grants and you're writing why you're looking for funding from this particular foundation, please don't say because you need the money. Please don't say because we would love to just be featured by you and because we're broke. Because it'll just raise a bunch of red flags if you say, well, we only have 3 months of operations left, so we need your funding to help us to continue to do what we do. Because they're going to ask, why don't you have more money? Where is this coming from? Grant makers do not want to feel like they are saving you. They want to feel like they're enhancing what you're doing. Grant makers want to make sure that they are giving a grant to an organization that is well-governed and also well-funded. It also doesn't look good if, let's say, your program costs about $11,000 to run and you're asking for a grant from them for $10,000. They don't want to be the only ones, the sole people that are doing it. They want to know that other foundations, other funders have skin in the game. They want to make sure that they're not the only players at the table. I know it sounds weird, but the best way to do that isn't to say, hey, we need the money. If you're doing this with your fundraising, please stop too, because is not going to create long-term funders. You're just getting the people that feel like they need to save you. And that's not a good recipe for long-term success. I want to encourage you, make it more about the cause and less about your organization's needs. If, let's say, you are a faith-based nonprofit that works in the after-school program area, using us as an example, don't make it about how much money you need, but how your funding will help transform lives of students that will eventually grow up and transform this community. You see how much more powerful that sounds? If you are working in a workforce development area, we're taking people that need jobs and job trainings and helping them to live a better life. It has nothing to do with your organization, because really it's not about your organization anyway. It's about serving the community, and it's about doing what God has called you to do. Also, if you're so worried about your funding situation, I know funding is hard. I know it can really weigh down on the leadership. I've been there, and I still sometimes am there. But if you make it all about the money, you're going to be missing the mark. Make it about how it can be beneficial to the people that you're asking for money. Not just grant makers, not just foundations, but also individuals. When you're meeting with someone and asking them to join what you're doing, don't make it about, I really need your money so that I can keep doing this. Make it about whatever cause they're passionate about. If, let's say, you're doing a service at a church, like, we're furthering the kingdom of God by doing the work that we do. So please join us in making this happen. Because that's the only way that you'll continue to see growth. That's the only way you'll continue to see momentum so that you can continue to do what you're doing. Instead of saying we need money, say here's how your dollars will be at work. I think of those signs sometimes I see on the highway when they say your dollars at work, when they've done construction, and then they brag about all the different adjustments that they made and everything like that. Just let them know how their dollars are going to be used and how their investment into your organization can make a difference. So don't sound selfish when you're fundraising. Don't make it about you. Make it about the people that you're serving. Make it about the greater cause that's happening. And trust me, when you do that, the grant writers will be, or the grant makers will be a lot more enthusiastic about giving you funding. They'll see the value of what you do as opposed to you just looking at them as a dollar sign. Real quick before I get to our third point here. There's this book. If you haven't read it, I would highly recommend, because if you are a faith-based nonprofit, reading The Spirituality of Fundraising by Henry Nouwen can change your perspective. Something that he mentions in the book is that it's a guy, he's done fundraising and everything like that for ministries back 150 years ago. And he had said that every time a rich person enters into the ministry world, people only look at them as a paycheck. And I think that's a dangerous perspective to have. If you're only looking at foundations as a paycheck, if you're only looking at those high donors as a paycheck, it's not going to work out. Even if they give to your organization, even if they decide to invest because they see the value or the Holy Spirit dropped it on them, like give, you're using them, and it can become a very tenuous relationship. Instead of trying to build it up and saying, like, I want to help you, I want to be there for you, it just can become very weird. So don't make it about what you need. Make it about what will happen when they invest. Make it about the cause. Make it about what you're doing, less about why you need it. So that's number 2. Number 3. One of the bigger mistakes that I think a lot of people make is they give up too easily. You applied for a grant, and then you get that awful letter that says, or email that says, We regret to inform you that we are not funding your nonprofit. Sometimes they'll give a reason, sometimes they won't. Or sometimes the reason is very generic, that we have too many applications and we couldn't accept yours. Whatever it might be. Don't give up. A lot of people say, oh, well, I guess I can't get money from that foundation, or I don't know, maybe God is trying to tell me something here, or wow, the devil is really at work here. No, the devil's not at work. No, God isn't trying to tell you something. I think what God may be telling you is keep going and keep trying. Sometimes foundations will reject grant applications 3 times before they will even consider funding them. 3 times. So if you give up once, you're missing out on an opportunity. If you are going into a grant application blind, they might not know who you are. They might not understand what you're doing. And because you haven't given them context, they've already automatically rejected it. Or maybe it's something that you made a mistake and you got to know. Well, there was a spelling error or you missed something. That's why it's very important to keep going and keep trying. A lot of times with foundations, a no could just mean not now. Now, am I saying that every single foundation will eventually fund you? No. Especially as a faith-based nonprofit, there will be foundations that will not fund faith-based nonprofits just because of the restrictions that they have or whatever. But there are a lot of faith-based nonprofits that get funding from nonprofit or from foundations. And I mean, we're one of them. I've seen it before. So it's less about your status or they just don't like you because you talk too much Jesus. No. It could be governance. It could be the way that you're writing the grant. It could be your selfish attitude. It could be a lot of different things. But please don't give up. The easiest way to fix this, other than not giving up, is ask for feedback. When you are getting a rejection letter, it's so critical to ask for feedback. Because most of the time foundations will give you like the feedback. If they don't, they usually tell you that we don't give feedback, and a lot of times it's the bigger ones that get hundreds, if not thousands of applications. So I think it's important to just reach out, be like, hey, I want to know how we can improve this. That's been one of the things that has been so helpful for us, is learning about, when it comes to learning about grants, is we learn what we're doing wrong. We learned that our governance was a mess, and so we fixed it. We learned about how we were writing the grant and how it didn't fully explain what we were doing. So we worked on it. The best way to get better at grants is by doing it, is by filling out applications. It's by getting those no's so that you can eventually learn what it takes to get a yes. So be patient, ask for feedback. I'm sure that you will see a huge difference there. Also, keep them in the loop. Don't just talk to them when you're filling out a grant application. Keep them on your correspondence. When you send out newsletters, follow them on social media. Make sure that they know who you are, so that the next time you send a grant application, they already have context of who you are. Because that's so huge. And I feel like a lot of nonprofits tend to just say, well, they didn't fund me this time, so it is what it is. Like, no, just take the extra step, ask for feedback, get that correspondence. Last thing I'll mention here is don't act like funding is scarce too. If one foundation keeps telling you no, there are dozens of foundations that will tell you yes. Don't focus on the no. It's not worth it. Also, don't take it personal. A no for a grant application is not an indication of poor work that you do. It is not an indication of how your organization is. It's just simply a no. Don't make it be a bigger deal where you're like, oh, I don't know, like maybe I'm just not cut out for this. That, I would say, might be a lie from the enemy. Not a simple no from a foundation. Don't take it personal. And also, there's plenty of funding out there. If you're a faith-based nonprofit, you know that God provides. God provides in miraculous and wild and crazy ways. So just don't forget that. I have a passion to see lives changed throughout the world through faith-based nonprofits. And I want to help in any way that I can. So if you're looking for help, if you're like, man, I still need help with just trying to get a good framework, or I need a master grant application, or I just need coaching. I need someone to help me figure out this whole grant thing. I have a grant that I want you to look at, whatever it might be. Reach out. You can email me directly, nonprofitmissionary@gmail.com, or you can check out our website, nonprofitmissionary.com. If it's up, we're working on it. I don't know if it'll be up yet. But yeah, don't do this thing alone. The first thing that God said was not good with creation was that man is alone. And I think that is a symbol of not just the aspect of man and woman, but just people in general. We are meant to be with each other. We are meant to help each other. So make sure you reach out if you're struggling, if you have questions, if you're confused. We can try to work through it. I want to talk today, Confessions of a Missionary, about the last few months. So in one of our previous episodes, I believe it was 2 episodes ago, something like that, we had mentioned that we were having twins. It's a crazy week of surprises. Found out that we were having 2 babies instead of 1. And then the next day I was elected assistant presbyter. And really, once that happened, I knew that I had to take a significant step back in a lot that I was doing. I couldn't plan any conferences. I couldn't really attend any extra meetings or anything like that, just because it would have been too much to try to navigate. So our babies were born in January. So at this point, we're recording this April 3rd. They are like a week and change away from being 3 months. And I must say, I am blown away at how gracious people have been. I think part of that is because having 2 is so radically different from having 1. And most people that have had a baby know how the first month, 2, 3 months are. They understand the challenges, and they can't fathom having a second. But it's been really good between doing work here at the coffee shop, doing stuff with the church, doing stuff as a missionary. It's been really, people have been very gracious, and I am kind of blown away by it. I can't say enough about the amazing team that we have here. And I feel like one of the things that I've really taken away from this time is how important it is to trust the people around you. And I don't remember the book, but there's this book where maybe it's Profit First, where they talk about how 80% done is 100% awesome. Just because you aren't doing something doesn't mean that it has to be fully up to your standards. If it's close, it's good enough. So that's really been the case. And I'll be honest, I think the coffee shop team has done a lot better of a job of just being engaged in social media, greeting our customers, and continuing to just stay on top of everything else that we're doing. So I'm truly grateful, and I look forward to what these next few months lead up to be. Now that we're back here, my intention is to be back here until like it just becomes too overwhelming. But like, we're gonna be consistent. I'm gonna have episodes out basically every week, and yeah, we're back. Shelby is starting to do some more learning center stuff a little bit more, so it's just been really good. And I'm still blown away that we have twins. I think it'll be something that I will never be shocked by. It's been really good, and they're boys. I don't think I mentioned that before, but yeah, so we'll be back next week with another episode helping you to become missionaries to your community. We do that by establishing faith-based nonprofits, securing funding so you can focus on long-term outreach. So until next time, my name is Ken McQuiller, and we will see you then.